coming in a little late with a brief but really jam-packed with wisdom and really, I think, useful shifts for you, all about strained relationships at Christmas and how you can shift out of the stress that you're experiencing right now about that. So I am hosting Calm Christmas next week. Hello, my lovelies. Hosting Calm Christmas next week, we're going to dive into this in more detail. But today, and as people have been signing up for that, I have been asking them to fill in a survey about what's causing the most stress right now and around Christmas. And I think like 6 of the responses so far have been some version of family dynamics, like sometimes issues between like the responder and a family member, a parent, an in-law, sometimes like other sort of strained dynamics that make life difficult for everyone around. And you know what? I don't think anyone is like excluded from this as an experience. We can all relate to this. Maybe it's not at Christmas. I should have brought a tissue before I started. Maybe it's not at Christmas, but other times of year, and stuff going on that we are kind of wish we could just avoid, wish we could just opt out of, and that would make life easier. Or we could just fix it. We could just fix whatever's going on for other people and make it easy, because that's the feeling, isn't it? Like, it's hard to have to deal with this. So I'm going to start off with a kind of out there statement. Stay with me. But it is this. It is that Christmas 2024 is not real. Christmas 2024 does not exist yet. It has not happened. It is an idea. And I know that's kind of an odd thought to have, but like, it's a time in the future. It doesn't exist in reality yet. So everything, if you're still with me, everything that you are experiencing emotion-wise about Christmas is based on your like stories that you're telling yourself. Sometimes these are based on previous experiences, so you are kind of seeing the big blowout that happened across the dinner table last Christmas, and that's the story that's playing in your head. Sometimes it's a projection, like a prediction of the future. You're kind of inserting yourself into a location where you know you're going to be, with people who you know are going to be there. And there's this story playing that is, what Christmas is going to be like. And it is these stories. Some of you will sort of see them as pictures. Some of you will experience them as like, almost like you're watching a movie, and some of you it's more that you're like focused on the audio, the dialogue, what you can hear that, like, I don't know, bickering on repeat that is stressing you out already. All of the things that we are experiencing, these stories and the emotions that we create at this time, we have control over them because they don't exist yet. And we can kind of tune in to what's going on. We can tune into the story we are telling ourselves. I don't know if you heard my tummy rumble. I did just have lunch, so I'm not sure why. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing that this doesn't exist yet, because we can absolutely control ourselves, control what's going on in our minds, control how we respond to things. And unlike other people, we can't control how family members are going to act or respond or what is going to happen. There are so many things outside of our control. So, but knowing that actually a lot of the time what we're experiencing, what we're feeling is based on stories in our mind, that's quite freeing when you start to look at things this way. So the survey responses so far from Calm Christmas are very much like a lot of them. There are others which I will kind of address in a future at future times, but a lot of them are around these relational things and the strained relationships. So it is so important to notice between now and Christmas, now and whenever Christmas 2024 becomes a reality, or certain events of it become a reality for you, to notice every time you have switched into playing that movie or seeing that picture or hearing that like bickering on repeat, and to notice when you are in that story, that negative story of this is going to be really stressful, these people are really annoying, or they are wrong or rude or whatever it is. To notice when you are looking to a time that is not right now, mentally, and first of all noticing, that's like the key thing, so that you are able to take yourself out of it, because it is so easy to fall into the path of like taking yourself further down that route, down that road of you're staying in the story, making it worse. So things that we might do to make it worse are, I'm going to call my sister and have a chat about, you know, how annoying mum's being in the lead up to Christmas and how annoying she was last year. And, you know, you can see that it doesn't take us out of that like future story. It really, when you do something like that, it really takes you further into that narrative. Maybe your response when you're feeling stressed is to kind of, you know, you're scrolling through social media and perhaps you are drawn into this like doom scrolling story around comparison about how dysfunctional your family is. And maybe you're like imagining the that person that you know that seems to have everything figured out. They seem to have the perfect family Christmas. They absolutely don't. Nobody does. But that's not what goes on in our head when we're in that like comparison phase. Sometimes that makes those like negative stories even more stark when we're holding them up against someone else who apparently has it all, which they don't. Or maybe it's just sitting down and offloading to your partner all the things that you are, you know, fed up about and dreading and how difficult it's going to be. Notice as you even do that, as you even think of doing that, maybe you've done it recently. I'm sure lots of us have. But noticing how that even makes you feel. Because when we do those things, when we take ourselves deeper into the story, the negative story that we create around this stressful event that's coming up, we are creating a stress for ourselves. It's not actually about, you know, if you're calling your sister to moan about your mum. In this reality, your mum, like nothing's happening. It is the story that we're telling ourselves that creates the stress. And with these kind of relational things that I'm talking about today, like it's usually family stuff. That's generally, I think, I'm thinking back, generally what people have messaged about in that survey is around family stuff because it's Christmas, but this applies, you know, year round to different stuff. Generally, in this case, everything is sort of pointing towards an event or a period of time. So maybe it's a big Christmas dinner, or it's a period of time when you're staying with family, or, you know, there is now and there is a point in the future. Because other like Christmassy stresses can be kind of ongoing for the whole time of what's it called? The Christmas period. But these kind of family relationship stuff, generally, they're all pointing forward at some event in the future. And the more that we tell ourselves that it's going to be stressful, it's going to be difficult, this is going to be a disaster, or any of those things that you can almost hear yourself having said in the past, what we're actually doing between right now, this moment, and that event in the future is creating a whole period of stress for ourselves that we don't need to be in. At the moment, it doesn't exist. Like, the event hasn't happened yet. It isn't a thing. It isn't a reality. It isn't your reality right now. So instead of like jumping into the moaning to a loved one or comparing to other people's lives and things that can make you feel worse, notice that you've slipped into that like negative, looking for everything to be wrong. And sometimes it even helps to say aloud. I sometimes say aloud like, oh, I can really feel myself like spiraling. It almost feels like that. You're kind of getting sucked into this dread. Because I know from chatting to so many mothers that like this period between now and this event in the future is filled with lots of dread. Like every time you think about it, every time it comes up, it feels like, oh God, I wish I could just avoid that. I wish we just could skip that part of Christmas. So when you notice that, instead of telling the story or replaying it in your mind or texting it out to a friend, do something to shift out of that energy, to stop the story playing, stop it in its tracks. Dance to your favourite song, go for a walk, go outside, like anything. I am a huge fan of tapping. I share about that quite a lot to like shift out of a difficult energy. Do that to get yourself out of that story track playing, because and the more that you do that, the more easy it becomes to notice when you are in that like negative spiral, when you are in going down this road of like, oh, I'm feeling more and more anxious about it, or more and more like resistant to this happening. Because whenever the time is, maybe it's like next weekend or maybe it's 4 weeks away, you don't want to experience this stress between now and then, and you actually get to control it if you choose not to like go down this spiral, go down this drain of it. And the more you do that, the more you kind of stop and choose something else, even if you just choose to not think about that. In Calm Christmas, in the workshop next week, I'm going to talk more about the actual, like the thing itself, the event, the, what to do to kind of shift into feeling differently. But this period of time being one of dread, one of anxiety, is not what we want. Like, it's not what I want for you. And I know there is this, there is a little bit of messaging around Christmas and like family stuff and family events where it's kind of like, just say no to everything, just opt out, just like, don't go to the, I don't know, family Christmas or whatever it is. And I think it kind of makes a cute tagline, right? To just be like, hey, you get to have your boundaries and just say no to all of this. But my experiences for myself, for my clients, for my friends, actually like opting out of everything is not the most desirable outcome. Really, when you think about it. Sometimes we say that like, oh, wouldn't it be easier if we just didn't have to do that? Yeah, it might be easier in the short term. But if you could really choose what your kind of top outcome would be, I think a lot of the time it is about like, you would choose that you could go to that event, you could spend that time together, and you could have a more harmonious time, have not a big, fallout with your sister-in-law or super heated political debate with your dad that sort of ends the whole of Christmas. What if you could create a relationship with those people that you are already like playing in your head that this is difficult, this is going to be difficult. What if you got to just go to that thing, that event or that period of time together, if it's more like not an event, and you just got to show up and just be without the month of dread ahead of it. You just got to show up and like experience the time together. You might disagree with things that are said and things that you know someone brings to the table, but hopefully in an ideal scenario, because we can't, when we're talking about things that we can wish for, you can't actually change anyone else. Like, you can't control how someone else is going to respond, you can't control how someone else is going to react. You just get to think about, you know, yourself, your own response. So if, let's say, you have this this thought that your sister is difficult and that she is a difficult person and she spoils Christmas and you know, she does it every year and it just makes life a nightmare for everybody. The more you like play that and you play the past stories from when she's done it in the past and you put the projection on this Christmas when maybe you're in a different place, the more that you play that story, first of all, the more you're going to be looking for evidence to support that. So in the family group chat, when she responds, you've already got this lens of like, she's being difficult, because that's what our brains do. We look for kind of confirmation of what we already believe. But you're also going to be kind of going into Christmas expecting this. So it's more likely to be reflected back to you. And you kind of get to decide with all these things. It could be your sister. It's easy for me to use the example of sister because I don't have a sister. So therefore no one thinks I'm talking about a particular person. But you really get to decide with this kind of thing. Like, do you want to be right that your sister is difficult and she spoils Christmas? Or would you love to be able to just accept your sister for who she is and be able to find like threads of common ground with her, points of connection where you get to enjoy little moments of time you spend together? Maybe it's in the shared memories that you have of childhood. Maybe it's in the you know, some one thing, fashion that you do agree on or you do bond over. So when you're having these thoughts about like, oh, my husband's parents are a nightmare, or you know, my aunt is so rude and I, you know, don't like being around her, you do have a choice in it. There is this, like, you can opt out, but sometimes for most of us, you don't, like, within the wider context of Christmas and family, that's not actually what you want. Or you get to choose, do I want to be right about it, or do I want to be able to connect on some level about something and create less stress for myself, create more calm, more peace, and more joy for myself around this time of year, around these kinds of events. So I'm going to be going into more, sorry, I'm just flipping down of more detail on like the practicalities, diving into specific scenarios that people have shared, a lot more around this kind of, another thing that's coming up, I'm going to be sharing about all of this next week in Calm Christmas, which you can sign up to join live or grab the replay. Another thing that's coming up lots is around this kind of feeling a kind of stress around the stuff, all the commercial stuff, all the like, yeah, stuff that goes along with Christmas, the consumerist stuff that actually doesn't feel very aligned for a lot of us right now. We're going to be chatting about all of that and moving forward. I always want like you to have a kind of plan of action for moving forward and making a change. So for today, from today's live, what I would love you to do is start noticing when you are in that like storytelling of, you know, this is going to be difficult, this is going to be a nightmare, they are annoying. Like, notice yourself when you're in that and shift out of that energy. Do something to move. Literally moving your body really helps, and let go of that story that you're telling yourself, because it's not helping you. It's not helping you create the peace that you want in your lives. Okay, my loves, thank you so much. If you have any like specific Christmas stuff going on, pop it in the comments. Pop it in the comments and I will answer it somewhere, probably at Calm Christmas. I would love to see you there, or to have you watch the replay. Take care. Oh, I don't know how to stop this now. How do I stop this? Oh, there we go. That's it.